printed in the House Report 112, 173. Does the gentleman from New Jersey seek to recognition at this time?
I do, Madam Chair. I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 12, printed in House Report number 112-173, offered by Mr. Holt of New Jersey.
Pursuant to House Resolution 359, the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Holt, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from New Jersey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For 23 years, Congress had the benefit of a really excellent organization, the Office of Technology Assessment. The OTA helped Congress look at the policy implications of new technologies. Then, 16 years ago, OTA was defunded. When Congress turned out the lights, they argued that other organizations would provide what OTA did: think tanks, academies, universities. We now have 16 years of evidence that we have not gotten from these other sources what we got from OTA. We need OTA now more than ever, and my amendment would shift a mere $2.5 million into OTA to breathe life back into this important agency that had a great record of improving congressional decision-making, preventing tax dollar waste, and generally improving the debate on many policy issues. OTA is still on the books. It was simply defunded, and with this amendment can be funded again. The money comes from a well-funded, little-used trust fund for Capitol building revitalization. The OTA produced thorough, balanced, nonpartisan studies on a huge variety of policy-relevant subjects. Listen to some of the reports, all produced by OTA in the years before it was defunded 16 years ago. Adverse reaction to vaccines, retiring old cars to save gasoline and reduce emissions, environmental impact of bioenergy crop production, testing in schools, treatment of Alzheimer's disease. Think about it. These studies, a few of the many, on great concern to us today, were written before 1995. The OTA was the best tool Congress has had to deal with our inability to look forward, to recognize and comprehend trends, to find perspective in problem solving. In other words, our congressional attention deficit disorder. 16 years ago, Congress hoped to save money by cutting OTA, and in the process, we lost one of our best opportunities to save money by avoiding costly mistakes. It is documented that OTA saved taxpayers several $100 million by understanding the best IT system for use by the Social Security Administration. Millions of dollars of savings through better Agent Orange programs. Billions of dollars by avoiding a poorly constructed Synfuels Corporation. Now, not every OTA project found favor with everyone. Some in Congress did not like to hear OTA call into question some of the extravagant claims of the missile defense contractors. But history shows OTA was right, and the missile defense folks at the Pentagon have spent a decade working around the problems uncovered. Some in Congress complained that OTA reports did not have the quick turnaround of, say, CRS, but that is just the point. OTA is the antidote to the myopia that comes from our very short attention cycle. OTA never advocated policy solutions. It didn't play politics. These are our jobs, but we need help. OTA was of Congress and for Congress. They knew our language and our decision-making framework. That's why other organizations never really filled the void created by the defunding of OTA. If we had a functioning OTA in recent years, I think there's little doubt that we could have been more aware of and better prepared to deal with looming shortages of vaccines, to incorporate new designs for flood control levees, to extend high-quality medical care to rural regions, to employ effective techniques for oil spill cleanup, or to reduce the risks of cell phone hacking, to name just a few issues of current interest. The Office of Technology Assistant never was a panacea. However, it is the best institutional tool we have had to recognize the policy implications of technology trends, to digest arguments, to expose some of our own blind spots. In other words, to illuminate and inform our legislating. We in Congress have not distinguished ourselves in recognizing and comprehending trends of implications of technology. Now, most of our colleagues here in this body do not know OTA ever existed. Most members do not miss it. This shows, I think, just how badly we need it. Always, the first step in dealing with a shortcoming is acknowledging that we have it. We badly need OTA, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida rise?
Madam Chairman, to claim time in opposition.
Is the gentleman opposed to the amendment?
Yes.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Madam Chairman, I yield myself such time as I may consume, and I appreciate very much the gentleman from New Jersey's passion for this program. He mentioned that they turned out the lights in 1996, some 15 years ago. And I can't help but wonder why the lights haven't been turned on in the last 15 years. And I talked to the gentleman yesterday, and I didn't know much about the OTA, but I couldn't help but wonder why in the midst of the financial mess that we find our country in, that he would pick this time to try to resuscitate a program that has lay sleeping for 15 years. I don't know whether he's tried every year to resuscitate this program and nobody was listening. I hope he's tried before. There were probably times when money was more plentiful and he might have had a better chance of bringing back a new program, a little more government. But I think this is just bad timing. I told him if he wants to continue to try to educate the members and tell them what a wonderful program this was up until 1996, that maybe someday that it would be resuscitated. But the members should know that in 2008, we gave $2.5 million to the General Accountability Office to kind of do these kind of technological assessments. And they've been doing that for the last 4 years. Yes, I'll be glad to yield.
In answer to your two questions, the first is, as I said, the fact that this body doesn't know that it lacks OTA is the strongest argument of how badly we need it.
Well, reclaiming my time,
and the second point, if the gentleman would continue to yield.
If this was simply a question of education, I hope the gentleman has been working diligently for the past few years, as hard as he worked for the last 24 hours, to make people aware and to crank this thing back up. But again, this is the wrong time to try to start a new government program.
If the gentleman would yield further.
Be glad to yield.
As for the funding, I mean, there is an offset from a little-used fund, a trust fund for building revitalization that is unlikely to be spent in the coming year.
We're taking my time, and that's an interesting question too.
$2.5 million to save.
Reclaim my time. I appreciate that question. And that $30 million is there to use to make sure that we protect the health and safety of people in our buildings here. So I understand it won't cost any more money, but it's just a brand new federal program that I think is not a good time to be trying to do that. Again, if you've been trying to do that for the last 15 years and nobody's been listening, then it must not be all that great a program. But once again, I appreciate you being a champion of that, and maybe someday it will come back to life. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
I will yield such time as he may consume to the ranking member of the subcommittee.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to answer the question about whether it's a new program, it hasn't been. It's been defunded back in '96. Since 2008 through GAO, we have been trying to fund it through there, and it's, and build it up since then. But it's still, a lot of folks didn't understand that this body really does need the kind of technological development in public and private sector and harness outside experiences in the form of advisory panels and peer review.
Gentleman's
something
time
that
is
GAO and
expired.
CRS cannot do, and we could do through this program.
Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Is his time expired?
The gentleman from New Jersey's time has expired.
Well, I would just simply say, as I urge my colleagues to vote no on this, again, I thank him for bringing it to our attention. It seems strange it hadn't been funded for the last 15 years. I think this is not the year to crank it back up, resuscitate it. I think we got plenty of bipartisan research that's available to the members, and maybe there's some private, nonprofit corporations, big foundations that might want to do this on a voluntary basis. But again, I urge a negative vote, and I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from New Jersey. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.
Madam Chairman, I ask for a recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from New Jersey will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentleman from Washington rise?
I move to strike the requisite number of words.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
And I yield to